Is it possible to learn fighting games in 2023? Fighting games have typically been seen as one of the hardest genres to learn, especially if you're just starting out and you've never really played fighting games before. Personally me, I grew up playing fighting games on the PS2 with my brother and my dad. The game of choice, Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And with the announce of Tekken 8's release soon, I thought it would be nice to pick up Tekken 7 to see if I could learn the game in 2023 when I haven't really touched it in about 15 years. So I decided to play 100 games and just sort of see where I was at the end. I picked Hwoarang since he's what I played as a kid, and I don't remember this guy having an eye patch, so I'm not really too sure what happened to his eye. I'm sure there's some lore reason in there somewhere. I wanted to play a couple of games versus the AI just to, ease myself back into it, and after a little bit of button mashing, I remember this triple sky kick combo that I learnt as a kid. I'm sure that's not the actual name for it, but anyway. Pretty quickly I found out that this was a little bit too easy even for me when I hadn't played the game for so long. I thought I was doing pretty well at the start, but I ended up losing to this lady when I found out she had a move where she could just throw king at my head. I got into my first casual game and instantly opened with my new favorite combo. I was actually feeling pretty comfortable and ended up losing anyway, but I decided that was good enough to hop into a ranked game, and boy was I wrong. My tendency to only use my kicks was hurting me a fair bit, so I tried experimenting with my hands a bit because, it is a fighting game after all. And pretty quickly I saw the appeal of punches. They're a lot quicker, so you can interrupt combos and hit between guards a lot quicker. I managed to pull off this sick sidestep, but still lost. I knew this was going to be a bit of a harder journey than I originally thought, but I was determined, so I queued up again, and what do you know? It was my arch nemesis, and I knew that this was my shot at redemption.
Great.
So next match I found this guy who had a rather intimidating profile, but coming off a high from the last match, I actually wasn't feeling too bad about my chances. So yeah, what an idiot I was. This guy absolutely opened me up. He was using movement and verticality. I don't know if that's the right term, but what I mean was he was actually ducking and mixing between high and low attacks. Anyway, I got absolutely slaughtered. I hopped into my fourth game and it was way higher ping than I played so far, which felt kind of shit, but there was one huge redeeming factor, and that was this guy was actually the same rank as me. And the icing on the cake, it was also a promotion match, so I knew I had to focus up. So anyway, it turns out when you play against someone the same level as you, it's a lot easier. This guy looked like a bit of a psycho, and the first 2 rounds I got absolutely demolished. But then I found something that helped me out immensely. This cool low kick helped me add some variation to my combos, since all I was doing at the moment was hitting up high. But anyway, on to game 6. I don't know what the hell that move was, but that seems unfair. It's all good though, I'm sure he won't do it again. Luckily I finished off the final round with him against a wall, so he didn't really get a chance to use it for a 3rd time. Anyway, moving on to game 7, and the main thing I'm finding at the moment is that players better than me are doing is punishing me when they actually get a clean hit on me. When I get knocked down, I lose about a quarter of my health bar, as opposed to when I get a clean hit on someone, it's normally just a one and done, so I definitely need to learn some combos to punish people better. But no time to think about that because it was time for my next promotion match.
KO.
which I lost. Yep. People keep using that massive last stand move against me, and luckily by chance I found out that I can block it. Also, yes, I did find out later this is called Rage Art. There was just no tutorial, alright? After 10 games, I decided it was time to hop into the practice mode so I could fully understand some mechanics and hopefully also learn some combos. And after testing some out, I felt a little bit better and also found out the main move that I do was typically used for ending combos, and it could also pick people up off the ground. However, after hopping back into a game, I found that I actually almost felt worse. Still being new to the game and trying to remember everything I just tested out in practice mode was too much for my little brain. So I decided, at least for a little bit, I was going to focus on the basics like movement and making sure I wasn't getting punished for free. And it was here that I pulled off probably my craziest run of damage that I'd done so far over 2 rounds, and holy fuck did this feel good. I'd made it this far without getting perfected, but only just. This guy almost messed me up with his fireballs because I had no idea what to do against it. So we went ahead and hit 20 matches, and I kinda have a confession to make. I literally played all of these first 20 games in the same night. I was actually so onto this one when I started playing. I was having so much fun, and even though I sucked super bad, I think it was 5 wins and 15 losses or something, weirdly that didn't seem to deter me. In other games I play, like League of Legends, normally after a loss or two, I'm not really feeling it anymore, but in Tekken so far, I was just motivated to learn and get better. I'm not sure if this is the 1v1 nature of the game or what, but anyway. I also learnt around this time that if you get hit twice by Pole Phoenix, you just die, so maybe don't get hit by him anymore. In a weird turn of events, I actually ended up coming against someone who was also playing Hwoarang. It was my first time playing a mirror matchup, and I wasn't too sure what to expect. One thing I did notice straight away though was this guy's Hwoarang did not look like mine at all. I also pulled off probably my coolest slow-mo victory yet. I decided I still needed a bit more help, so I was looking around for pro gameplay and I came across Hwoarang.
He's not gonna kill, but he's gonna go for a mix-up. He goes for the slide, and look at this, he's gonna get the punish. He has Rage Art. He has Rage Art.
Hunting on, no, Rage Stripe gets to the wall too.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead. No, he's alive. Oh, the second hit. Hwoarang taking game number 1 here versus Lowhigh.
From him I learned about the Just Frames skyrocket, I'm pretty sure it's called, and I was practicing it for a little bit, but I mean, holy fuck, I will never be able to pull this off in a natural match, at least for now. I noticed from watching Hwoarang that he focuses a lot more on spacing and trying to use similar moves over and over again to punish when he sees an opening. So I tried that, albeit a far simpler version, and it actually started paying off, in a pretty big way. I was still getting destroyed by grapples though. I think I just wasn't really used to reacting to it, and playing on a keyboard already made it a little bit harder, I think. I also knew that eventually I was going to have to change up my 4-4-4-4 combo, since against better players I'd seen them space under the end of it by just crouching, but for now at least it seemed to be working well while I got a bit more used to the controls. And then it finally happened. I had a match against another Hwoarang player, and not only that, it was also my promotion match. This time though, I was way more ready than last time. A major weak point in my gameplay was grappling though, and once a player found out that I wasn't so comfortable with it, they did their best to abuse it, much like this King player. I decided in the middle of this game that I had to learn it eventually, so I gave him a taste of his own medicine. I even pulled off my first grapple parry. I don't know if that's the actual name, but I'm gonna roll with it for now. By that, I just mean that it's when someone tries to grapple you and you cancel it. Also, damn, look at that match history. That's a future world champion right there, if they ever have world championships that are held in the second lowest ranking in the game. I ended up matching against this King player like 4 times in a row, which was kind of annoying because I think he was learning too, and he figured out that he can really easily grab me mid-kick and fuck me up. I ended up playing against him again and demoting him though, so I did feel kind of bad for that. If you watch this video, I apologize. Unfortunately, my streak came to an end when I had to face off against this fucking anime character who keeps throwing Dragon Ball Z abilities at my head. I did get a rematch though, and then eventually ended up beating him after realizing that he was just going low over and over again and that I could duck most of his other hits. I don't know if that's something specific to this character or something that just this guy in particular was doing, but oh, this person is so annoying to play against. Anyway, I do kind of have another admission to make. Remember how I said I played my first 20 games all in one sitting? Well, I actually ended up coming back and playing in total 57 games of Tekken on my first day. Which is, I mean, I don't think I've sat down and played this much of any video game in one day since I was a literal child, but I was actually having that much fun that the time just sort of flew by. But it was time for the second half of my challenge. So I watched a lot of VODs and noticed my movement was seriously lacking a lot. Not that the rest of my gameplay wasn't, but my movement just really stood out. I stumbled upon the Korean backdash, or KBD I think it's called, and after a while in the practice mode it sort of felt like I was doing it, but it also sort of felt like I was giving myself RSI. I also learnt about frame data around this time, so I really started trying to focus on punishing guarded attacks with a jab rather than going for huge kicks with long windups, and while I looked kinda stupid, it was working out pretty well. Now that I had at least a basic grasp on the game, I decided it was finally time to learn a combo. I ended up just going with the easiest one, of course. Weirdly, the hardest part of this for me was actually hitting my launcher. I hit it a few times in practice mode, but it really seemed like whenever I tried doing it in an actual game, I was playing 10 times worse. And it was at this point I was thinking maybe I should resign to a life of solitude and button mashing, but just as I was about to give up, this happened. Coming off a high, I then went up against what I can only assume was a Smurf. I'm not too sure, maybe he's just a genetically gifted freak of nature, but this was a hard match. I actually managed to take a couple of rounds off him, which I was super happy with, and my new combo was definitely proving to be very handy too. By now I was down to my last 25 games for this experiment, or challenge, or whatever you'd like to call it, and for the first time it actually kind of felt like I had some sort of control over my character. After hitting a launcher, I felt pretty comfortable following up on it. Even if it wasn't the coolest combo in the world, I still had a way to do a bit of damage, even though my rank at the time was definitely not reflecting it. Also, during my last 25 games, I started feeling a lot more comfortable with my throws, using them to punish opponents who were getting too eager or were turtling too much. In the matches that I did win, I started winning by a pretty big margin compared to when I started. And I mean, obviously these aren't the hardest games in the world, but it did sort of feel like everything we'd practiced was at least helping out a little bit. Still couldn't KBD or sidestep properly though. I ended my 100th rank game ranked Initiate and with just under a 48% win rate. So I mean, in conclusion, can you learn fighting games in 2023? I'd say I had at least a little bit of an advantage playing the games from when I was like 5 or 6 years old, but yeah, I don't see why not. I think fighting games are a seriously slept on genre, and with upcoming releases like Project L and Tekken 8, I think it's going to get more and more popular over 2024. So yeah, that was my experience. If you'd like me to continue this series, be sure to subscribe and we'll keep the journey going. Alright, thank you, bye.